So last week, Sunday, I couldn't join, but I hope most of you joined the other other classes, right?
Yes, madam.
And then you learned something.
Yes, please.
So why is it I'm speaking with just one person? I have like 40
Yes,
people.
madam. Yes, madam.
All right. So this class is from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. It's 4 hours. So I'll have just one break in it. When it's 8:50, I'll have a break and then we'll come back at 9 o'clock. So you can use the 10 minutes break to stretch, to walk around, to attend to other things. And then after 10 minutes, we come back and then have our class. Is that okay with us?
Okay,
Yes,
madam.
madam.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let me ask this question. Let me come back here. Let me stop sharing my screen for now. Stop presenting. Okay. I believe we all have had the experience in cake baking. Hello. Please unmute yourself and
Hello,
then
madam.
Hi,
Yes,
madam.
madam.
all had experience in cake baking.
Yes.
Cake making.
Yes, madam.
All right. So why do we whisk egg? Why do we beat egg in cake making?
Madam, please to incorporate air into the mixture.
To incorporate egg into the mixture. And what does the air do to the mixture?
It serves as a rising agent.
It serves as a rising agent and then it improves on the texture, right?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So what will happen if you don't beat the egg? What will happen if you
Madam,
don't beat
please,
the egg?
the cake will not rise well,
It will not rise
and also we
well.
not get yes quality texture for it.
Okay. So if you don't whisk it, your cake may not rise well. You get a flatter um cake. Okay, and then the texture too will not improve. You not get a fluffy texture that you intended to have. And then let me go this way to clothing. Just imagine binding a curved edge, okay, a curved edge with a bias that's a strap that was cut on the straight grain instead of cutting it on bias. What will happen? If you're clothing students, Madam Deborah, your hand is up. Do you want to say something?
Madam, please, sorry.
Oh, don't worry. So I'm asking, I know I have clothing students amongst you. If you're a food student and you have idea with it, you can also talk. If you are binding and then you don't use a bias binding on a curved edge, what happened?
Madam, please, you not get the edges to be curved.
You not get the edges to be curved.
Mm.
You get your
And
edges
it,
to be curved, but the bias won't lie, the binding that you done won't lie flat.
it will not lie flat at the edges.
Yes, it will not lie flat as the curved edge that you want. Okay.
Yes.
So in binding such places, you use a bias to make it conform to the shape of the curve that you want. Okay. So having this in mind, just imagine you don't have this knowledge beforehand. Okay. You don't have this knowledge that I'm binding a curved edge. I have to use a bias binding, or I'm making a cake. I have to beat the egg, whisk it to incorporate air. You don't have that knowledge beforehand. You end up making in cake making, you end up making something that doesn't look like the cake that you expected to bake. You might watch a recipe, and then you see how nice, how um delicious the cake will look like after when it comes out. But you trying and then you didn't have that knowledge in mind, you bake something and then that something will not even look like a cake that you baked. It applies to the bias binding I was talking about too. It will not lie flat. Okay, this is to tell you that in everything that we do, there are ideas. Okay, there are some facts, there are some theories that serve as foundations or basis for any good outcome, or you want a proper result. There are foundations that serves as um an outcome that helps you to get a good outcome. These ideas will account for the situation, or it will justify the course of action. So your cake didn't rise and then you realize that, oh, I didn't beat the why it happened like that. You won't have a lighter edge, a flat curve, and then you realize that, oh, I didn't use a bias binding. So just like our topic for today, learning theories and then pedagogical approaches. Okay, just like learning theories, these theories are they are fundamental principles. Okay, they are the models or the frameworks that explains to us how people acquire knowledge. And then the people that we are talking about are students. So how our learners acquire, how they process, how they retain knowledge, and then some skills. So today we'll be talking about learning theories and then pedagogical approaches. And then by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to, one, identify and explain the foundational concept of learning theory, of the experiential learning theory and the activity-based learning theory. And then they'll highlight how these theories foster active engagement and real-world connection in educational contexts. The second one is students will be able to describe the concept of learner-centered pedagogy, which includes the definition, the characteristics, its rationale, and the benefits for fostering such meaningful learning experiences. Three, it will critically evaluate, students will critically evaluate the problem-based learning, that's PBL, and the flipped learning as the learner-centered pedagogical strategies, and then compare their principles, their processes, and then potential impact on students' learning outcomes. The fourth one is they will apply the principles of experiential learning theory, the activity-based learning theory, and the learner-centered pedagogies to design engaging lesson plans or classroom activities that prioritizes active participation and then student autonomy. The fifth one is students will be able to reflect on how incorporating learner-centered approaches can transform traditional teaching practices, also improve learning motivation and engagement, and prepare students for real-world problem solving and long life learning. I believe you all can see my screen.
Yes,
Hello.
madam.
Yes,
So these are
madam.
just the objectives that was reading to all of us. Do you all have the slides? I gave it to your course reps to share them. Do you have them? For methods of teaching home economics. Hello.
Yes, please, we do.
All right. So let's move on to the definitions of learning theories and then pedagogical approaches. So today we'll highlight the learning theories. We'll talk about the two learning theories. We'll talk about the experiential and then activity-based learning theories, and then we'll move on to learner-centered pedagogies, where we'll talk about the um, flipped learning and the problem-based learning. So as I explained earlier, the learning theories, okay, they provide in-depth knowledge and insights into cognitive, emotional, and social factors that, and then also environmental factors that influences learning. They are just theories that shape our understanding of the learning process, and it makes us understand how students learn. Okay, some of the influences that we as educators can use to impact and to foster learning. How will this be beneficial to us? So as student educators, I'm talking about we the teachers, we will need to know this, okay, to serve as a compass for us. These learning theories I'm talking about, they will serve as a compass for us. They will direct us as to what we will do. They will show us what we have to do in order for a student to learn. Okay, so these theories will guide us to develop effective instructional objectives to use in class. It will also help us to create an environment that will be conducive for students to learn. It will also help us to know how to manage our classroom environment. It will also help us to employ different teaching strategies, okay? Teaching styles, these are the pedagogical styles that can suit the diverse needs of students. The next definition is the pedagogical approaches. Pedagogical approaches. So to someone who is not a teacher, okay, such a person will feel that teaching is just a simple task. You go, if this is the topic that you want to teach, you go and then you deliver the topic to the students. But teaching is not just about impacting knowledge, okay? It contains a whole lot of skills, some processes, some theories, like the learning theories that we've already talked about, okay? It contains all those strategies. We can talk of your planning process that is involved, your mode of delivery, the assessment you even take, okay, based on the learning objectives that you had. All these skills, okay, the methods, the strategies, the techniques that are used by teachers and educators to facilitate learning is what we term as the pedagogical approaches. Okay, they encompass the planning, the delivery, assessment of lesson, reflecting on beliefs and how learning occurs, and how best you engage and support learners. So the learning theories, we have some school of thoughts like the behaviorism theory, we have the cognitivism, we have the constructivism, and then we have the humanism. We have a lot of theories like that. So the first one we talk about is the behaviorism theory. This theory focuses on the observable and the measurable aspects of the human behavior and the ways that they are learned. The central idea is that all behaviors are learned through interaction with our environment, the environments we find ourselves in. So we have the learner in mind, okay? Their behaviors, some things that they do are shaped by the environments that they find themselves in. We are teachers in the basic schools, and then we experience this a lot of times. There are some areas in our community that they are known for a particular kind of behavior. And then when you have such a student, you have a student in your class, and then the student is exhibiting a behavior, you feel compelled to associate such a behavior with where the person came from. So such an environment will influence the student's behavior. It is believed that all humans are born as blank slates, and that it is the environment that writes our behavior for us. As such, we can say that the environment is the one that causes a change in our behavior. And then it causes a change through a process called the conditioning process. These are the classical conditioning that was developed by Ivan Pavlov in 1936, and then the operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner in 1990. So everyone who believes in this behaviorism theory is a behaviorist. Okay, so these two behaviorists, we have John B. Watson, so he's a propounder of he introduced the idea that behaviors occur due to stimuli creating responses. Okay, so these behaviorists assert that all observable and measurable behaviors can be learned, and also they can be unlearned. And as such, you can replace them with new behaviors. The key element of behaviorism lies heavily on reward responses. Okay. It is influenced by reinforcing a desired behavior through rewards, and then you discourage a behavior you don't like through punishments. So as an educator with this behaviorism theory in mind, this is how you foster education in class. You use rewards. Okay. Rewards doesn't necessarily mean gifts. It can be gifts if you have the means of doing it, but it can be praises. When a student answers a correct gives a correct response in class, you let them praise the student in front of his or her colleagues. You tell everyone to clap for them. Okay, you can even award grades as a form of reward to reinforce that good behavior. If it happens like that, other students will learn such a behavior. And then it is the same way that you use punishment to discourage a bad behavior. If you don't like a behavior in class, you use punishments. And then this punishment, I'm not talking about a severe punishment, okay? Punishments can take several forms. You let students stand for such a behavior. You make students kneel for such a behavior. It's a lot of ways we can go by it. And with that, you reinforce or you correct, and then you run such behavior. Behaviorism theory has been criticized because it oversimplifies human behavior, and then it ignores factors beyond the stimuli responses. It is limited to focus on environmental influences. And then the next one we talk about is the cognitivism theory. So the cognitivism theory emphasizes the mental processes, okay, that are involved in learning, rather than the one that we just talked about, which focuses on the observable, measurable behaviors. This one emphasizes the mental processes that takes place in learning. So this theory focuses on how learners acquire, how they process, how they store, and how they retrieve information. So it deals with mental processes like thinking. We have mental processes like remembering, perceiving, and then problem solving. The cognitivists view learning as an internal process where the human mind, okay, actively constructs knowledge. And then we construct knowledge by connecting new information with the existing ones. This is the main idea of it. The mind is an information processor. So learners process information by activating prior knowledge in order to make connections for the new learners. And then we as educators, we know that we learn from the known to the unknown. So before you start a class, you ask the students what they know about the topic, and then from what they know about it, you build on it. So you have some propounders like Jean Piaget, who introduced the 4 stages of the human cognitive development. She had the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and then the formal operational stage. We have Axon and Schifrin. We have Philip Gould, who also developed the cognitive models of reading. So these scholars emphasize the importance of understanding the human mental structure. Okay, so you can go read on them, and then we discuss that in our various groups. They view that if you understand the human mental structure at every stage of their lives, they have how they think, how they process information. So when you know it, and then you are exposed to a class of that age, you know their abilities and then how you can help them. So the cognitive theory has impacted educational practices like that promote strategies that uses the KWL charts. The KWL charts is just an acronym, okay? So the K is know, the W is wants to know, and then L is learn. So this you use this chart to assess your learning, if learning has occurred. So use a K before class. It's just like you let students have a sheet, and then they calibrate, they divide it into 3 sections. The first one they write the K, which is a no. The second one they write W. The third one they write L. And then you ask them, you introduce the topic, and you ask them what they know about the topic. You tell them to write it down. They will write what they know about the topic. They write everything. And then you move on to W. Whilst teaching, you tell them to write what they want to know about the topic. So it can be in a question form. I want to know this. I want to know this. So whilst you are teaching, the students will know, and then he will answer such a question. So let me, as I use the cake making as an example, a student saw that, oh, in cake making, if the student has had an experience in the house, her mother used to beat the cake and she doesn't know why. So such a student will write such a question down. And then whilst you are teaching, you surely make a point that you beat the egg to incorporate air into it. As such, it will answer the student's question. And then the last part is L, what has been learned. So after that, they will write what have been learned based on what they knew and then what you told them, and then the new knowledge that they have acquired. So it has introduced the KWL chart and then scaffolding, just like the idea of using constructors using scaffolding to build a house. You give students the support, and then gradually you leave them. Okay, you serve as a mentor to them, you give them support, you give them resources to learn, and then from time to time you shift the support for everything to be on the students by the end of the lesson. You have limitation to this theory. You have the limitation include lack of consideration for environmental conditions that may affect the learning theory. Okay, this theory emphasizes talks about the mental processes, just focuses on the mental processes, but there are some environmental conditions that can influence how a student can process an idea. We have students don't live at the same places. Okay, they have varied ways of learning. Some grasp concepts quickly, some take time to grasp it based on them where they are coming from. You have students who live in broken homes, students who live in a family where their parents are still intact, living with them. So comparing these two students, they might not be able to grasp information as much as you want. So it focuses on just the mental processes, ignoring environmental conditions that may affect it. And then we have the last one called the third one, constructivism theory. The constructivism theory. This is a learning theory that shows that learners construct their own knowledge and understanding through experiences and then their interaction with the world. Okay. It's even aside focusing on students, or the learners, it's something that's even universal. This theory, we learn based on our experience. If a child is telling you about how the broken home has affected the person, okay, if you give them an essay to write how broken homes affect education, a child with such an experience will be able to write better than someone who is just who hasn't had the experience and is just talking from writing from the view of others. If you have experience in something, it makes you more you grasp whatever the concept is better than if you've not had an experience in it. So this theory sees learners as constructors of knowledge. This theory is based around the idea that learners are active participants in the learning journey. So their knowledge is constructed based on their experiences. We have um, Jean Piaget, John Dewey, and then Lev Vygotsky, who have developed models to support such a theory. Let's move to the Lev Vygotsky's framework. He highlights the role of social guidance and collaboration in learning, where learners can achieve more with the help of others. Okay, so he wants it to be in such a way that students get exposed to others, they interact with others, okay, to learn, have an experience with them, and then they'll learn from it. That's why we have role modeling. If you have someone coming to class to tell them about how he made it in life, how he was able to learn. When students have that experience with that person, when students hear it, when students get associated with such people, they learn. Okay. It helps them to learn some basic things that the teacher expects them to learn. So this has led to the adoption of educational practices such as PBL, the problem-based learning. We have collaborative activities and then inquiry-based instructions. And then the last one is the humanism theory. Humanism theory. The humanism theory emphasizes the whole person, okay, the whole person. So this we are talking about the learner as a whole, okay. It focuses on the personal growth of the learner. It focuses on the self-actualization and the individual's potential. Okay. It sees learning not just as we acquire knowledge, but also a way for individuals to become the best versions of themselves. They see learning to shape our outcomes, to shape who we want to be in future. Okay, so this theory emphasizes on the importance of self-actualization, where every learner should become the best versions of themselves. That's what every learner wants to become the best versions of themselves. And that's what we educators, we want to develop in students, to become the best versions of them. Aside impacting knowledge, we want learners to become the best versions of themselves. I believe every teacher will be glad to see that one day your student is on the television, like saying reasonable, sensible things, contributing to a particular form of debate. You'll be proud that you at least had an impact in such a person's life. Okay. So Abraham Maslow and then we have Carl Rogers are the proponents of this theory. This theory has led to the creation of learner-centered approaches, where learners are placed at the center of the learning process. They believe that the students can learn best when they are personally invested, okay, when they are personally motivated, and also have a sense of purpose in what they are learning. They see the application of what they are learning in class. As such, teachers are to just act as facilitators, not controllers in the class. You facilitate learners to learn in the class. You help them. you should create an environment that will allow students to explore their own interests. It also has limitation. Its limitation includes its subjective nature, and then it relies on the basis on a biased sample of self-actualized individuals. So let me skip this part for now. I'll come back to it. And then let's move on to what we have on our course outline. We have the experiential learning theory, and then so we have the experiential learning theory and then the activity-based learning theory. These are the theories that we'll delve more into for today's lesson. So the experiential learning theory, as the name implies, experiential. Okay.
Madam,
Yes, I'm listening.
Michael, the course outline. We don't have the course outline for home economics methods of teaching.
You don't have the course outline.
Yes, and then housing management. We don't have the course outline.
Housing.
Yes, the two of them.
We are doing methods of teaching today.
I'm saying that we don't have. You are teaching two, so we don't have all of them. I'm just drawing
Okay,
the
so when we get to housing, then you raise problems related to housing. Okay.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Madam, we don't have this unit, the slides. We don't have it too. We have only one unit slides.
Which center are you now? Are you, please?
West School.
So I've sent it to your course rep. I think Angela is the course rep over there, right?
Yes, please.
He has it. I sent the course outline too. I just sent the
We don't have
slides
the
this
course
morning.
outline. We have only one unit.
I sent today's outline. She has it, so maybe she hasn't put it in the group yet. So by the end of the day,
Okay.
you will have it.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
But do you have the course outline too?
No.
I sent all those last week.
Okay.
Madam
Thanks.
Ifti. Thank you too. Madam Ifti,
Madam,
do you have the course outline and the slides?
please for method.
Yes. Do you have the course outline? Okay, so when we
We
get
don't
to
have,
when we,
but we have the slides. I've shared the slides for the class,
you don't have the course outline.
but we have the slides.
I'm right now. I'm on our chat. Okay, I've opened our chat and I remember I shared the course outline with you. Okay.
Madam, what you saying? I've shared it too.
All right. So if you don't have it, I'll still share it with you. Okay. So Sir Michael, I'll share them with you and then you have it. Hello. Hello.
Okay, madam. I've heard you.
Okay. Thank you. Please give me a moment. I'm coming.
Hello, madam. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please
So
still
I've
on
shared
the
it.
front.
What did you say?
I'm saying still on the slides. I want to make an appeal, please.
I'm listening.
Can you please humbly share all slides for us? Please, we want to print them at once. Please, madam. Please. Please.
All right.
Please.
To discuss that after class. Okay.
Thank you.
So I've shared the slides with the course outline with the course reps. So they'll give it to you. So let's move on
Please
to
use Share him.
madam, share ni nyina
And
ma
you
ni
miss
nyina wo.
when you miss it. Sir Michael, I'm not laughing.
Ade na nya wo dia, dia, kifa ma ye. Ana madam ewa.
So one thing about this course house like this light is we get it okay during the course of the week. Okay. So I will share them with you when I get them. All right. I know say media, be me media, we will be also will be. So I'll share it with you. I won't keep
Esa
it.
wo won kɔtwerɛ exams yɛ na yɛsua akɔtwerɛ. Wo deɛ won
I will
kɔtwerɛ
do
wo
that.
deɛ
I will do
deɛ
that. I will share it with you.
yɛ na
Okay.
yɛ na yɛbɛbrɛ. Wo deɛ wo mbrɛ.
We have to photocopy so that while stitching we will be at least
Michael, please
jotting
don't
down some
appear. Oh,
things.
humble yourself. Michael, who say how are you?
Mɛha wo adwene awo wo nsa kan pa.
Science teacher, madam, please go on.
Twene
All
yi
right.
da hɔ
Thank
a
you very
wɔmmɔ
much.
nkyɛn. Wɔmmɔ nkyɛn.
All right.
Twene
So
yi
I'll do that.
peperempe.
Okay. Let's continue. So the experiential learning theory. Hello. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Hello, madam.
I'm sorry. I went off for a while. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's continue with the
Okay.
experiential learning theory. So, as I said earlier, it was developed by David Kolb in 1974. So, David Kolb defined learning as the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experiences. Okay. Learning occurs through the transformation of experience. That's how he defined learning. So, his theory emphasizes that we learn through experience. Okay, for learning to take place, we have to have an experience with it. If I'm to say the men should describe the kind of pain the women go through during labor, they will explain the pain based on how they see it. Okay, but as a woman, if I tell you to explain it, if I don't take care, you explain with all your heart. You explain with all your soul because it's something that you've experienced. Okay, that's how students also learn. When they have experienced this, they are better able to relate with it. So he described the process of learning in 4 steps. And then these steps are in the form of a cycle. The first one is experiencing. Okay, you experience it and then you reflect on it. Then you think about it and then you act upon it. And then acting upon it, you come back to experience. So it's a cycle, it's an ongoing cycle. So the 4 steps are the first one, experience. The first one is experience. That is where one gets exposed to a new situation. Okay. So it's also termed as the concrete experience. You get exposed, okay, you meet such a situation, and then the situation can be all new to you.
Madam.
I'm listening. Hello. Okay. Let's go on. When she comes back, I'll listen to it. So learning begins when learners uses their sense and their perception to engage in what is happening now. Okay, so let's take a practical course in home economics. Let's take a practical course, a practical activity that we do. So let's have in food and nutrition. I wanted to come from what practical let's say should we use in food and nutrition? Example should we use? If you can hear me, just unmute yourself and then talk. Hello.
Baking cake.
All right. We will use cake baking. So we can have students in the class who have not had such an experience. Okay. Who have they eat cake all right, but they haven't actually had the opportunity to experience cake baking. So the first stage is that they get experience to it. Okay, they meet the situation, they get involved in the situation, and they use all their senses. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, all the five senses. They get involved in the situation, and then they will have the feel of what the situation is by navigating through using their senses. So they see what is going on, they hear what you tell them to do, they feel if you want them to need, they feel it. Okay, if you want them to take into account the taste of the taste at every stage, they can taste it. So at that stage, the students get involved in such a situation. Okay, and that is where learning starts. Either way, they have to find their way through it. So they experience everything related to that such an activity, and then when they are done, they sit down to reflect on what they experienced. Okay, what they observed, they reflect on what happened. So learners analyze their experiences by looking at it from different perspectives and angles, and then they consider the meanings for everything that they learned. Okay, so they reflect on it. Oh, I did need I added I whisk I don't really know the process of making a cake, but like you whisk the egg, I know that for sure. I did this. Why did I do that? Okay, they reflect on it, they want to make meaning out of it, and then they now think. I know before every practical lesson, we learn the theory before we come to the practical lesson. So they will learn. They will now come and think, oh, okay, Madam made us whisk this thing because from what we learned earlier, maybe there's a theory, there was a definition, or there's some ideas you told them that when you whisk, it creates a network that traps the bubbles in the protein. So when you bake, it makes it rise. So now the students will now be linking what they experienced with what was taught with them. So the learners engage in thinking to reach conclusion from theories, from concepts, or from general principles that has been taught earlier. Oh, okay, and then they tested it, they tried it, and then they realized that, oh, this is a theory, this is what this thing was explaining. It happens to all of us that sometimes when you're explaining something in class, we just understand the concept of it, but when you have an experience of it and then you realize that, oh, this thing that I did, it is linked to this, you'll be like, I need to know the lecturer said this or the teacher said this. Please, sorry for the noise in the background. Thank you. And then the last one is, after experiencing it, you reflect on it and then you link it to some concepts and then you act again. Okay, you act on it. So probably you've learned that you risk it to make the thing right, and then from your from the first one that you did, you baked, it didn't rise as much as you were expecting. So once you know this thing that wasting it makes it fluffy, in your next attempt, you whisk it well. You try and then look for ways to beat egg well so that it will incorporate air in it for you to get the new outcome that you want. So you act upon it again, and whilst acting upon it again, you will have a new experience. You will encounter a new problem, and then the cycle will go back to it. You will encounter a new problem, and then you come back and you reflect on it. You link those problem to some theories, or you probably read on them, and then you come back to act again, and then the cycle continues to go in that direction. So there's a video attached to your slides, which I will not play now. It's just explaining. It explains what I explained earlier here. So whilst you're reading, you watch the video and then you get better understanding to it. How then do you apply this experiential learning theory in teaching? Okay. You first have to have in mind that students learn based on experience. So your goal is to make students experience whatever you are teaching. Okay, you link it to real life situations for them so that they will have the experience in it. And then even if they forget the theoretical aspect of it, the experience in it can remind them, okay, when you want to assess them. So we have the first one is stimulation. It can be through role play. We have internships, which are really how do I say this? Advised that students take part. So when they break for school, they can take a period of, let's say, if they are supposed to stay home for one month, they can take that period to go to probably an industry or somewhere related to their study, and then learn more from what they have done. We have field trips too, which will help learners to experience what they are being taught. And then we have practical lesson, which is more abundant in the teaching of home economics. These practical lessons gives them hands-on activities. So every practical lesson is not just like you are demonstrating to them. You demonstrate to them and then you make them have the experience. You make them do it, hands-on activities. You make them have the experience of it. And then we have reflective of the observation and reflections like class and group discussions. So you can pose a question to them and then the whole class will discuss that thing. And then when you have a learner who is active in it, you know, when you're having discussions, there are some students who are kind of reserved, there are students who are outspoken. They seem to tell you everything that they know about what you are teaching. So if such a learner is actively participated in what you are doing, the students will be able to learn more, okay, than those who didn't even actively participate in it. What are the advantages of the experiential learning theories? We have one, it increases engagement. Every student like it when you let them have a feel of what you are teaching. When you tell students that we are going for a field trip, they are so happy because they are just going to have the experience. They are going outside to learn. It makes them more engaged in what you are going to teach. Okay. They feel like they have to be part of it because you made them go outside. just because of that topic. So they feel that they have to get involved in it. And then getting them involved keeps them interested, and then it makes them motivated to try more, to learn more from what you want to teach. It enhances retention. Okay, learning through experiences and reflection helps knowledge to stick. We have this proverb like, once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy. It's because you've had that experience with it. You won't tempt of going to go into something like that. That experience you had made you learn something, then that thing has really been with you. It has stuck in your mind. Okay, so giving students the opportunity to learn, have the experience of it, enhances retention. It also promotes deep understanding, as I talked about the 4 stages. Okay, the students have experience with it, then he or she will come back to think about it. You reflect on what you did, you think about it, and then you act. Doing that thing, it promotes deep understanding. Okay, it makes you just connects the dots that leads to the deeper insights of whatever you are doing. So by the end of it, you see that even if you don't go over it again, and then it tells them to talk about it, they can talk about it as if they are doing it. Okay, while they are talking about it feels like they are doing it. They are really doing it. You see them from how they describe it. And then it is directly applicable. Learning is tied to real world situation, which makes it immediate, useful in work and in life. When you're teaching and then you link them to experiences that they've had, they realize that, oh, this thing that I'm learning, it's this. There was a time that I remember when we were learning in basic school, I was learning the theory, is it the Pythagoras theory? And then the teacher at that time, I wasn't really learning that much, so the teacher was trying to make connection with the real world, but I wasn't really experiencing it. It was after SHS that I was coming home from. After SHS, I was doing some. I went to learn how to sew small, so I was coming home, and then there was a man behind me. So he asked why I passed. It's more like a triangle, okay? So he asked why I used the other side, why I didn't use we have the Pythagoras, then we have the hypotenuse, we have the opposite, and then we have the adjacent. So he was like, why didn't I use this? Is it the opposite, the longer side? Why didn't I use that side? And I was like, I feel it's the same thing. And he was trying to make connection with what I learned in SGHS. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is how I see it. Okay, then it's applicable here. Okay. So they feel, when you do that, students feel like, oh, it's part of us. So like this thing that I'm learning, I can apply it in this situation wherever I meet myself. And then it makes learning interactive and then memorable. Hands-on activities make learning more dynamic and then lasting. Everything that has advantages also has disadvantages. So one we can say is time consuming. Okay. To have an experiential learning classroom, it requires that you carefully plan on how you deliver your lesson, which can take longer than traditional lecture. If I'm to describe to you how we make a pattern, how you make your basic block, I can tell you, oh, you need to have this measurement. Your shoulder to shoulder has to have your best measurement. You have to have this measurement. I can describe to you, and then in just a short while, I will finish. But like making you have the experience in it, it will take a whole longer period. You can, if we don't take it, we can even exceed the time that we are limited. Okay, if we have 2 periods, we might exceed that period. So it takes longer. And then it can be expensive because you want to connect it to the real life situation. So you need the tools that you need, the material, the props. Okay, you need them to teach. Okay, and then which can be expensive. If the school is not providing for you, the teacher, you have to use your own money to do it. And then it needs skilled facilitators. A skilled facilitator. You know, when they are learning and then they learn the wrong thing, it sticks. When they learn the right thing too, it sticks. Okay, so when you have a skilled facilitator, someone who knows what cake making is really about, like you have someone who has done it over time, and then she knows the basic things that you have to do to make you get the kind of taste that you like in cake making. Such a person can help students to acquire more knowledge. And then if you don't have such skills, you will not be allowed, you can give a better understanding to students. And then there's a risk of missing your learning goals. So if not structured well, it may become just another fun activity without clear educational outcomes. When we are having practicals with students, okay, every student likes it when it's practical time. So when they are having the experience with it, it's like they become happy. Okay, you might get involved in like the fun that they are having. Like you just be happy. I'm doing the same, madam. This is what I did, and you'll be happy that like, oh, the students are actually learning, and then you might end up missing what you intended to teach them. Okay. And then the second one is the activity-based learning. Activity-based learning theory. Okay, this theory emphasizes that learning is through engaging students or learners in a hands-on activity. Okay, those hands-on activities are those learning experiences where learners learn by doing, by trying their hands on with the various tools and materials to understand the concepts that you are talking about. So it can be simple definition. It's like someone trying to learn, okay, and the person is learning, doing the thing, rather than getting to know the concept, the meaning, the everything about it. You just want to start learning, so you learn it. You get involved in it, you do it. Okay. There's this thing that I've realized that most students who go to school those who go to the universities, the various universities to learn clothing and textiles, to learn food and nutrition, aside that practicals that they have, they don't really create a job out of it. Okay, maybe they've spent 4 years in school, they don't really end up becoming caterers or someone who can really sew very well than someone who didn't go to school. The person's main aim was like, let me go. They are doing maybe a 3-month intensive training for people. The person registered and the person got involved in it. You started by just doing it. Such a person, most people of that caliber end up creating a job out of it. You see that and they'll be the ones sewing the corsets, the avant-garde corsets the various styles that we have. Although those in school can sew it, but they don't really come out as those who go outside to learn it. So it's just like someone learn learn by just doing it, having your hands on it. Okay, so this theory tells us that instead of students passively receiving information from the teacher, students participate in tasks, okay, the experiments, the projects. They get involved in the problem, and then they get ways that they can solve the problem. That can encourage exploration and then discovery. So it focuses on the idea that students learn better when they actively participate in their learning process. So as opposed to asking students to listen and take notes, activity-based learning stimulates learners to participate in their learning experience through practical activities such as independent investigation and problem solving. So as an educator, it is simply by creating tasks, situational activities, and other instructional ways to guide learners to acquire or understand, and they apply the new information, the skills that will help them in their studies and also their lives. This theory doesn't necessarily expect learners to think. Learners are supposed to think, but it doesn't necessarily just tell them to think, but also to do and then participate in the activity so that the learning will take place within the use of their senses. By using the activity-based learning, it improves the relevance of the topic and then its application in real life situation. So the theoretical basis for activity-based learning is rooted in the theory of constructivism, Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory. You have the Lev Vygotsky's social constructivism theory. You have the experiential learning we talked about by David Kolb, and then we have multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner. What are the key features of activity-based learning? We have active participation. Okay, learners participate. If learners are not participating in the activity, then it's not an activity-based learning. Learners are directly involved in the hands-on task, the activity, rather than just listening or observing what you're doing. And it is a learner-centered approach. Okay, the focus shifts from the teacher to the learner. It sees the learner to be the one to help, like the learners is to be the one to help him or herself to learn better. Okay, so you, the teacher, you serve just as a facilitator, as a guide in helping learners to achieve whatever that they want to. And then it leads to exploration and discovery. Students tend to explore for themselves. Learners engage in inquiry, experimentation, and discovery. And then we have collaborative learning. Many students involve working in pairs or groups to foster communication, teamwork, and social skills. So sometimes if the materials to use are not sufficient for the class, when you group students and then they work on one thing, everyone will have the experience, the feel of it, and then such students can also learn things from their others. Okay, there will be a collaboration learning where based on what you are doing, I can get new ways of doing it. A teacher might explain it differently for all of us to do it, but like I might learn a way someone is doing, and then there'll be that form of collaboration in what we are doing. It's also fosters real world connection. Okay, every activity that students are doing, when they have their hands on it, they see the relevance of it. Okay, they see that the application of it in their real life, and then it integrates multiple skills. ABL tasks typically combines the cognitive thinking, their emotions, and then their psychomotor doings. So we have the skill, the three domains of learning: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. It integrates the three domains of learning. And then they get reflections and feedback. So once they are doing it and they'll ask you, oh, madam, why am I doing it? I'm doing it this way, and then I'm not getting the results you are doing. And then you will explain to them that it is supposed to be done this way better. So they get feedbacks, okay, and then they reflect on what they are doing, and then they learn better from it. And then there's flexibility and then adaptability. Activities can be tailored to different subjects, different learning styles and ability levels, making it versatile. So once you're using it and then you feel it's not going the way you expected it to go, once in the class, you can adapt it. It is flexible that way that you can change it to suit the various learning needs of students. So the foundational summary of this theory is that 1, there's experimentation, there's exploration, and then there's expression. Experimentation, learners gain knowledge by doing and then experiencing it. Okay, they try out ideas and then they learn through that process of trial and error. So when they learn and then they try it and then they make mistakes, they learn from their mistakes and then they better it as they go on. Experimentation nurtures curiosity. While the student is doing it and it's not getting it, it will prompt the student that, oh, why am I not getting the what I'm supposed to do? If the student is not able to ask you, he or she will ask a fellow colleague in the classroom, and then there's such a student will explain to him or her why they are not getting such a result. So experimentation nurtures curiosity and also allows students to learn from their mistakes as well as their success. The second one is exploration. Students acquire knowledge and develop skills through active investigation. Okay, they gather knowledge and skills and through investigation. When learners are given opportunity to actively investigate their surrounding by asking questions and searching for information, they get to answer their questions, and then whatever misconception that they had, whatever thing that wasn't clear to them, they investigate and then they get their answers and then it betters their understanding. And then expression. Learning becomes.
Madam.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Hello. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, madam.
All right. So I thought the feedback I was getting, I think maybe my network went off. It wasn't stable. So once you all can hear me, I'm glad. So let's go to the third one is expression. Okay. Expression. Learning becomes more meaningful when students are able to express what they have discovered, what they have learned, what they have seen, what they have felt. Okay. When students are able to express it in their own ways, we say learning has occurred. So this thing that I'm teaching, I may explain it this way, but if you're able to express it in your own language, in how you understand it, and then you are getting the key points, okay, in it, then learning has occurred. So as learners have hands-on experience and then feel of an activity, you, the facilitator, you guide them to communicate their understanding through, it can be visual, okay, they draw how they got their ideas. It can be through oral, it can be through written presentation. So either ways, you let students express how they they encountered such a situation. So students can learn independently through activity-based techniques. Parents and teachers seek to guide children and critically analyze problem solving and their creativity skills. How then do we apply this in teaching and learning? So it's advised that we use real objects. Okay, real objects. If you're not having that such teaching learning resource in class and then you use something to represent it, it won't take as much as when you have the real objects. So if you don't have such objects, you can tend to use a picture. If you have a picture on your phone, it's allowed. If you have a video on your phone, for them to know the connection they have with it. And then it can also be that you change the classroom teaching environment. Okay. You just change the environment for them to have a proper feel of it. Okay. So if let's take this instance, if you are to learn cooking skills and I made a practical lesson in cooking in the classroom where you have just your desk and your table, you don't have the stove, you don't have things that you have in the kitchen. Okay, when you are doing that, the learning doesn't go much effective as when you move to the food lab. Okay, even if you don't have a food lab and then you send them to someone's bakery, they tend to relate it well than rather sitting in the class and then just doing it. maybe you can have the objects there, but it will be like you are just demonstrating to them when they don't have the feel of it. You can use videos as suggested. You can change of classroom environment, so out of the classroom, and then you can use funny skits. Okay, they'll laugh about it, but still they'll learn about it. You can use a storyboard, you can use puzzles, and then you can also use games. So importance of the activity-based learning. The activity-based learning enhances engagement and motivation. It makes learners, it motivates learners, okay? When they are motivated, it makes them engage in it. It makes learning more enjoyable and then interesting. Once you have the motivation to do it, like you feel happy doing it. And when you feel happy doing something, learning occurs, stakes better. And the second one is promotes deeper understanding. 3, it encourages collaboration and then teamwork when students work in groups. So group activities foster skills, social skills, and then cooperation. It supports different learning styles, so hands-on activities, interactive tasks, and then it caters for visual, kinesthetic, and then interpersonal learning. It also builds critical thinking and problem-solving skills. So as I said earlier, when the student is needing and then he's not getting what the kind of texture that you explain that they are supposed to get afterwards, they are doing, and they are not getting it. You see that the students will now think of why he or she is not getting it, and then in their mind they'll be thinking critically how some theories or what you said in class, how they relate to it yes, they are needing. And then by thinking critically, they will be able to solve whatever problem that they are going through. So they'll be thinking, they'll be observing what their students, and they'll be making connection with it, and then they'll realize what they are doing wrong and then come back to do the right thing. The limitation of the activity-based learning. 1, it is time consuming, just like the experiential learning theory. Okay, it requires resources and then materials. There can be an activity where students are doing and then there are no resources to do it. There are no materials for students to have this a feel of it. Okay. Classroom learning management. Classroom learning management can become a challenge when it gets to such a situation. Okay, you realize that students will be making noise, they'll be talking, someone will be going here, they'll be going, oh madam, I'm going to take a tray from this person's table. I'm going to, if you don't take care, you will not be able to manage the classroom well. Group work and movement can lead to distraction and off-task behavior if not managed well. And then it can be less structured. If activities aren't planned well, they may lack clear learning outcomes or focus. And then there'll be varied learners' participation. Okay. Some students may be less engaged or struggling in group settings, which can lead to unequal participation. So when they are mostly in clothing and textiles and food and nutrition, our practicals are based on group works. So when you get one student who is not engaging very well, but in that group, probably they're in a group of 3, and then what they are doing is going on well. You, the teacher, the facilitator, when you get there and then you see that they are doing the correct thing, you just ignore the fact that, are they participating well? How is each person contributing to the outcome of it? Okay, if you don't take care, some of the students will not get the concept. They will just be there, but they will not grasp what they are supposed to be teaching. So let's come back to this 2 slides that I skipped. So relevance of studying those theories. Okay, those theories that we learned earlier. I talked about the humanism, the constructivism, the cognitivism, the behaviorism, and then the new learning theories that are relevant in the 21st century era. the experiential and then activity-based. And what's the purpose of learning them in educational settings? It helps you to understand how learners learn best. Okay, so by knowing that learners learn best based on their environments that they are in, learners learn best from having a hands-on practicals on it. It will help you develop learning instructions that will help learners to get to be effective in whatever that they are learning. And then it enhances teaching effectiveness. It also promotes student-centered learning. Okay, it supports diverse learners. There are various ways students learn. So either ways, it supports or it sees to it that their needs are catered for. And then there's continuous improvement of your teaching practices. Studying these concepts encourages educators to reflect on their practices. Okay. Probably you've been doing it, or you've learned it and then you've been doing it. But like when you have this experience with this learning theories, you reflect on that. That okay, if I want to teach this subject better, let me do it this way. Okay, it helps you to experiment with new methods, and then it helps you to stay up to date with research-based practices. How relevant is this in the 21st century education? We are in an era where we have shifted from where students used to memorize everything. Okay, by the end of the lesson, the students should know, should be able to define what cooking is, define what food is. We are in an era where we want to know the skills, what they learned from what we taught. So it promotes the skills that are needed for this 21st century era. Okay, it encourages critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, creativity, and digital literacy. That are essential competencies for the 21st century workforce. It supports learner-centered learning activities. Okay, it enables educators to integrate technology meaningfully. Many modern pedagogical approaches leverage digital tools like the flipped learning. We'll get to that place where learning, we mostly use digital tools to learn. So it helps you, the educator, to be abreast. Okay, it helps you to know that right now the students, the learners that are coming are those that are, as you can get a child at age 2, 3, 4. That person knows where to, when they take your phone, they know where to YouTube is located. They know how to navigate through YouTube well. So if you're not abreasting yourself to meet such a need, you can, a child at that age is getting to know more in phone. How much more would that child gets to know when, okay, she gets to the SHS level? So it helps educators to integrate technology meaningfully, and then it helps to adapt to the diverse and then global context. They help educators to respond to diverse learning needs and then create inclusive and then culturally responsive classroom. It also fosters lifelong learning. Okay, when someone experiences this, you realize that there are situations where when students learn such a skill in class and then they end up become a practice that becomes part of them. That's the kind of career side that they've chosen. Okay, it fosters lifelong learning. They learn it for throughout their whole lives. So it's 8:39, and then I wanted to move to the learner-centered pedagogies. Okay, earlier I said we will break at 8:50, then we'll come back at 9 o'clock. So I'm suggesting it's 8:39. We break now and then we come at 8:50. What do you think? Hello, I'm speaking with the whole class.
Yes.
Madam, 8:50, then let's make it 9 because now it's now 8:40. So you gave us just 20 minutes.
So that's what she's saying. Is that what the whole class agrees on?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes, please. We are okay with it.
Okay, then we break now. Michael Baidu, please, your hand is up. Do you want to say something before we break?
I'm saying that as we are breaking, you share the slides, the remaining unit 3 and 4 with us, then we break.
I'll do that. That one will be, I said we'll talk about it after class. Okay. So let's break and then let's come back. All right, thank you. So I'll be expecting the class at 8:50. Please, when
Madam, you
you
said 9.
Madam, no, Madam, 9.
sorry, 9 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yes, 9.
9, yes, Madam Ifia, it's 9.
Thank you, madam.
So I'll miss you all at 9.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello, madam.
Are we all back?
Hmm.
Some
Some
are
are
back,
yet
some are
to.
not back.
Yes, please.
Miss Mumba 8:50. I'm gonna make you said 9. Please, you can put it in your class group that I'm in, so they should start getting back. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Please, which center are you?
UCC.
UCC. Okay. Can I get anyone from Zenith or Wesco so that you put it in your class groups that I'm back? Hello. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
We are here.
Okay. Please, which
We are
center
back.
are you? Please, which center are you? What are patients?
Please, Zenith.
Please put it in your class group that I'm back so that they'll join. Okay. And Madam Rachel.
Please, where's school?
All right,
Thank
madam.
you very much. Put it in your class group for me.
Okay, madam.
Okay. So let's continue with we don't have lights. We've been having light out since yesterday. Okay. So my laptop only supported me from that 7 to now. It's off. So right now I have to switch to using my phone. I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Okay, so yeah. Okay, let me flip it this way. Let me see if it will be better. Rotate. Can you see it? Is it okay?
No, madam. The first one was okay.
Please, what did you say?
This one, some
The
part
first
did not
one.
appear. So the first one was okay.
Okay, then let's use the personal light.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, so from these theories that we've read, okay, there's this discussion unit where we'll discuss it, but let me finish with these ones. So from these theories that we've heard, we've read about, we've learned about, okay, these theories are all pointing to the fact that the learning should be centered on the students. Okay, if we want to get an effective outcome, please let's check our background so that we mute our backgrounds. Okay, so this leads us to the learner-centered pedagogies. Okay, so as explained earlier. Hello, please let's mute our backgrounds. Let's check our background. I think it's Madam Patience. Madam Patience.
Yeah. I think so.
Madam Patience, please mute your background for us, okay? Thank you. Madam Gifty too. Thank you. Okay. So the learner-centered pedagogy is a teaching approach that prioritizes the need, the interest, and the activities that are involved. Okay. Activities involving the learner. Okay. So every activity in the learning process that involves the learner, that makes the learner an active participant, okay, becomes a learner-centered approach. So in this approach, students are seen as co-creators. The learning is between the teacher and the student. We facilitate, we help them, and then almost if it's rated over 100%, more than 50% is on the students. Ours is just to help them guide them. This is the way you should go to. Okay. So teachers act as facilitators and guide rather than knowledge providers. So the rationale for um come in. So let me go by this. The learner-centered pedagogies, okay, aim to create a more engaging and then participatory learning environment for students. So they emphasize on learner-centered pedagogy in this 21st century education. The emphasis of this learner-centered pedagogy in this century is driven by the growing understanding of how the various students learn best and the need to prepare them for the dynamics of this knowledge-driven world. Okay. There are lots of technological advancements that are coming. There are lots of things that are growing. There are lots of things that are changing. So this kind of theory supports ways that we can see to the needs of students. So when learners are actively involved in the learning process, research shows that they retain information better, they develop deeper understanding, and they are more likely to apply them effectively. So this approach fosters critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, and then these are the core skills that are needed in this 21st century era. What are the rationale for the learner-centered theory, pedagogies? They promote active and then practical learning. When you based on such theory and then you use the learner-centered pedagogies, they promote active learning by students. Home economics is a course that it's full of practicals. Okay, it is inherently practical, and then it involves real life skills like cooking. We do it every day, but budgeting, family care, sewing, and then this method ensure that students actively engage in these practical tasks rather than just learning any theories that are related to it or facts that are related to it. It also enhances problem solving and then critical thinking. It caters for the diverse needs of learners. Okay. There are learners who learn best during an exposure with the environment. There are learners who learn best from their colleagues. There are learners who learn best when they make a mistake and then you tell them this how to do. So it caters for the diverse needs of the learners. It also builds lifelong skills. Okay. What you teach them, it sticks with them for a longer period of time. It encourages collaboration and communication. When there is teamwork, it encourages collaboration. People are able to work in groups. Okay, they are all able to collaborate with others. They are able to endure some behaviors of others. Okay, and then communication too. It makes them know how to present an information, not to harm the other person. Sometimes when you're working in groups, someone can say something in a way and then you feel it's offensive. But like you realize that these ways can be offensive to the other person, but it wouldn't be offensive to me. So students can learn ways to better speak or better communicate their information to others. And then it connects whatever theory, whatever facts, whatever ideas, whatever the teacher says in class to practice. Okay. They see the relevance of what they are learning in class. There's active participation by students. And then there's responsibility and autonomy. Students might choose a topic and then lead a mini project, managing their time and their resources. Students feel like they are responsible to do whatever that they've been assigned to do. So if it's it's a hands-on activity that you want them to do. Okay, they feel probably they are working in teams, so they share the responsibility amongst themselves, and then they feel that, oh, if this is my responsibility, I have to do it. This is the part that I'm creating. I'm contributing for the group to work for success to be what we want to bring out. And then there's collaboration and social interaction, and then it focuses on meaningful learning. Okay, meaningful learning. Whatever that they are learning, it's gives them a sense of they find the meaning out of it. Okay, it doesn't seem like just like they are going to school and then madam will say this, like they relate with it well. Okay, and then there's differentiation and flexibility. Differentiation and flexibility. These learner-centered pedagogies are flexible in such a way that you can manipulate it, you can change it to suit the way your class is. Even if you are living in an urban area, if you're living in a rural area, you can use them to cater for the needs of such students you find in the environment. And then it is a reflective learning. Okay, it helps students to reflect on what they've done. And then it's oh, sorry. Ouch. Hello, hello. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Okay, yeah. I was using an earpiece and then it wasn't helping me to flip it, to navigate it. So I've removed the earpiece. So I was still on the characteristics. Okay. And then the role of the teacher, instead of telling students exactly what to cook, what dish they should cook, the teacher guides them through experimenting with different ingredients and different flavors, which will encourage creativity and problem solving. So the role of teacher here, as stated earlier, you are just a guide. You are just someone to guide them. You know what they are supposed to learn. Okay, so you guide them in what they are learning. If you don't guide them, they will learn anything else. It's just like introducing a lesson, and then you tell them student you paste a chart or a picture on the board and tell them, what do you see? They'll describe almost everything that they see, but like if you tell them that, what do you see? We are focusing on this aspect of the picture, their attention will shift that part, and then they will not talk about the others, but they will talk about what you want to do. So you as a teacher, your role is to facilitate them, to help them to learn better. How do we apply the learner-centered pedagogies in teaching home economics? Okay. Let me go to shift here and then go to the learner-centered pedagogies. Then we come to how we apply it in home economics. Okay. So the first one that we will learn is the problem-based learning, PBL. Problem-based learning. And I believe most of us, almost everyone here, have heard it before. Problem-based learning. So problem-based learning is an instructional approach where the students, okay, are given a problem to solve, a real world problem, and then it's kind of complex. It's a bit difficult, not really difficult that they can solve, but it's a problem which is really challenging. Okay, so students are exposed to such a problem, and then they work in groups to find meanings or to find ways to solve such a problem. So instead of just giving direct instructions, okay, based on a topic, you tell them this is what the topic wants us from us, this is what we do, you teach them everything. You can put it in a problem form. Okay, they have a problem, and then they tend to
look for ways, they think, okay, they contribute their ideas, they explore, they read from various books, okay, they inquire from teachers, fellow friends from other class, and then they make meanings out of it to solve that problem that you presented to them. So instead of just giving them direct instructions, students identify what they need to learn to solve the problem, making the learning process driven by their own curiosity. Okay, when you give them the problem, they will know what the problem requires for them, and then by their own understanding, they will read on what the problem will require for them. What are the characteristics of the PBL? One, it exposes students to the real world. Okay, it gives them open-ended problems that has varied ways to solve them. When you introduce such a lesson in a class, okay, such teaching strategy in class, you get varied ways of doing something from students. Okay, if you have a group like 5 and then you pose just one problem to them, they will have different, you end up getting different ways, 5 different ways of solving such a problem. So it's exposing them to the real world open problems. And then it is learner driven inquiry. You expose them to the problem, you tell them, you explain that you can probably explain the problem to them so that they will know what it requires. Okay. And then they make their own research. They read on their own, they ask questions on their own to get answers for themselves. And then it fosters collaborative learning. There's collaborative learning in PBL. It is typically done in small groups that fosters teamwork and then communication. And then it facilitates the role of the teacher. The teacher serves as a facilitator here. Okay, this one has been said over and over again. Teacher guides the processes, asking questions and supporting learners' exploration rather than directly teaching them. And then it helps learners to integrate knowledge from various sources. Okay, they pull knowledge together from different places, from different subjects. They integrate all those in it to solve a problem. And then there's reflection and feedback. So after the problem is solved, students reflect on what they've learned and then how they learned it. Let's go to the principles of using PBL, problem-based learning. 1, you, the teacher, you present the problem to them. So introduce a real-world open-ended problem that are relevant to the learner. It's not any problem that you should pose to them. A problem that is relevant to the question, the topic that you want to teach. A problem that is relevant in your area of study. A problem that is relevant. It can be a problem that it is relevant in their environment. Okay, so present them with the problem, ensure that the problem is engaging, and then it requires students to research and then think critically. That should be the characteristics of the kind of problem you pose to children. It should be a problem that will require students to think more, to find answers from themselves. It should be a tricky question, a tricky problem. Okay, you clarify the problem. In small groups, learners discuss and then identify what the problem is asking. So it's either you clarify the problem with them so that they will know as to which direction they go. PBL also helps learners to clarify the problem themselves. Okay, they may restate it in their own words so that they identify key points, okay, key issues in it, and then they relate it to how they will solve it. And then 3, identify the learner's need, the learning need. Learners brainstorm what they already know and what they need to know. That's the knowledge gap. So probably the problem would be something that they can relate to. Okay, problem that they know about. Okay, problem that they it's not like they really experienced, but it's a problem that is kind of around them. So they can
use their prior knowledge that they have in it, and then they can search for information. So the kind of information that they'll be searching will be based on the problems that they have been able to their prior knowledge in it. Okay, so it helps learners to identify. It helps to identify the learning need. They create a list of learning objectives or questions that will guide their own research. It's also independent and then group work. So learners gather information, research, and explore resources from books, articles, experiments, interviews, and then they share their findings with their group. So it's a group work they are all doing. But in group work, mostly they'll share it. So every student will have their parts that they will play. Okay, you this person you're going to learn from this part, and then you bring it, and then we discuss it. You this person are going to when they come, they share their analogies together. Probably whilst I was learning my parts, I read something about your part. So if you are saying this and then they did what I can help. So it improves independence and group research. And then it helps learners to develop possible solutions. So using their new knowledge that they've gained from the research, from the inquiry, from the interviews, from whatever exploration they did, learners discuss and propose possible solution or approaches to solve the problem that you gave them. So they analyze the feasibility and the implications of each options. 6, they present the solutions to you. So from what they've done, you probably give them some time. So after everything that they've done, they will present their solutions to you. So group present their solutions to the class. It can be in a written report or a presentation, integrating evidences and reasons. And then 7, reflects and then evaluate. So learners reflect on what they have learned, the problem solving process, and then their group dynamics. So everything that occurred transpired between them. They reflect on it and then they evaluate how they made an impact in it. What are the key skills acquired in PBL when PBL is used? The key skills are critical thinking and problem solving, collaboration and teamwork, effective communication. For self-directed learning, okay, it improves self-directed learning. It improves research and then information literacy. Students get to know where they can get information from. Okay, probably students haven't had that experience before. They just come to the class, the teacher tells them, and then they read. But like when they are given such a situation, they realize that, oh, okay, let me go and ask my mom about this. She can tell me more about it. Let me read this book. My friend has this book. It also talks about, let me read it. Okay. So it improves research and then information literacy. Then creativity and innovation too, it improves it. There's reflection and metacognition, and then it helps in decision making and then leadership styles. How can PBL be used in home economics teaching? So one, we can have scenario-based projects. Okay. So for every topic that you can have a scenario related to it. Okay. So you present students with a scenario like a family of 5 has a limited budget and must plan nutritious meal for the week. This is the problem that they have. A family of 5 have limited budgets and then they have to eat soup. So you have to plan they have to plan nutritious meal for the week.
Hello,
So how
madam.
can you do this? Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Seidu. I'm Seidu.
All right,
Watiko Center.
Sadu.
Please,
Please hold this
madam,
one.
on the key, Watiko Center, also.
Okay.
Please, madam. Please, madam, on the key skills acquired when PBL is used. On the 7th one, reflection and metacognition. Please, madam, will you elaborate a little on it for me?
Okay. I'm coming. So when students are able to work in groups, okay, they are able to reflect on what they did earlier, okay, whatever activity that transpired between them and their group members, they are able to reflect on how well it went, what went wrong, and then how best they can improve it. And then it's also when you reflect on what you did, okay, you think about what you did. Okay, when you go home, you are reflecting on what happened in the class. Your teacher exposed you to a group, and then you were able to relate with this person. You spoke with this person. You read about this thing, and then you read about lots of things. So you are able to think about what you did. Okay, it improves their thinking processes. So they are able to think of what they did, and then they will make meanings out of what they did, and then they'll better it. If they have to improve on it, they'll improve it on it. If they have to stay with something that they did, they stay with it. Okay. So say, are you okay? I've forgotten your name.
Yes, madam.
Mr.
I'm
Seidu.
Seidu. Yes,
Seidu.
ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you're okay. Okay. So we were in how the PBL can be used in home economics teaching. So you present them the problem, and I said the problem was a family of 5 have limited budgets and must plan nutritious meal for the week. How can they balance costs, nutrition, and preferences? So this is a problem that you can present to students, and then their knowledge that they have, prior knowledge that they have, they can go ask questions, okay? So a meal that they can budget with a limited amount, okay? So you can pose such a question to them, and then it will help students to read on affordable recipes, how to calculate costs, how to create simple meal. They will read further on some topics, and then which will make like when they bring their answers to class for you to when they present their findings, which will make this will make the teacher your workload less burdened, because they've already read about it, and then they've understood it. So you just touch on it, and then if there are more clarifications that you have to add to it, you do it. And then it's also how you present real life challenges. Okay, ask students to design a plan to reduce food waste in the home. Okay, it's either you use a scenario or you present them real life challenges. So you ask them to design a plan that can reduce food waste in the home. Exploring storage, you can tell them to portion control. You give them how they can do a portion control. You give them some number of people that they should feed, and then with probably a limited amount of food. And then with this, students can research all and then present an action plan to suit what you want. And then we have family resource management. So an example, like you pose the problem of managing household resources during a crisis like sudden job loss. So the learners will explore budgeting, they'll read on budgeting, they'll read on prioritizing needs, and then some coping strategies. They'll read on all these, okay, to develop a comprehensive family plan that will help the family to manage household resources. And then whilst they are not just doing what, once they've had the experience in going to look for the answers for themselves, they are not coming back just to present it. Once they come back to present it, it has stuck in their mind. Okay, they have learned it, that if I'm in such a situation, this is what I can do. You, the teacher, you are just a facilitator there to help them to clarify more about it or speak more if you have more examples that you expect them to touch and they didn't touch on it. And then you can have on sustainability practices too. So these are how you can integrate home economics, PBL in teaching home economics. So there are examples like giving them sustainable practices, problems to solve. You can have nutrition and health example. So it's just like touching on the various based on the topic that you have, you pick a problem out of it. Okay, a challenging problem that will let them inquire more for themselves. That will let them read more for themselves. So attached to this slide is a video too, which gives more clarification on the PBL approach. So you can watch the video and then get more clarifications on it. And the next pedagogical strategy is flipped learning. Flipped learning. Flipped learning. Flipped learning is an instructional approach, okay, where the traditional classroom model is flipped. That accounts for the name flipped learning. Here, I'm saying flipped, okay, flip in the sense that teaching we all know occurs in the class, okay, but this one, it occurs outside the classroom. Okay, so instead of being in class, teaching them this is the topic, this is what I want you to know, you'll be explaining every concept, every principle, everything you want them to know. Here, the teaching occurs outside the class. Okay, so they are given videos, okay, or reading materials or online resources. Okay, they are sent to them so that they will read it. Okay, so probably if I had given you this slides earlier, it's like you would have read it. If it was yesterday or Friday, you would have read it before the class will come on today. Okay, so by then you would have had some knowledge in what I'll be teaching today. You would have probably read more into it before the class starts. So that's how flipped learning is. Learning is an instructional approach where direct instruction, like lectures, okay, is moved outside of the classroom. That is often through videos, reading, and online resources. So the classroom time is then used for active learning, for active discussion. Okay, so if I'm come to teach measurements, how you can measure the body effectively. Okay, I can probably send you a video, a YouTube video, downloaded the video for you student to watch. If I didn't get a video, I can send you the link for you to watch, and then I will tell you to watch how the measurements are being taken. Okay, take into consideration where each part, if they tell you that bust measurements, where they are measuring the bust, hip measurements, where they are measuring the shoulder to waist, where they are measuring it. Okay, then when we come to class, I will now touch more on it. Okay, so what are the processes for using flipped learning? One, you have to identify your learning objectives. Determine what students need to know and be able to do. So it's not just that you send the video to them. Please watch the video before you come to class. They will do all right, but probably the video will be a lengthy video, or the video will talk about a lot of things. You know, when you go to YouTube, you get such small videos, go straight to the point. Not even just videos. When you go, you get articles, online resources, anything, books. It's just about a lot of things. But I just have to direct the student that this is what I want you to learn or read before class. This is what I want you to know. So the video that I'm giving you, the book I'm giving you, the passage I'm giving you, make sure you get this, okay? Make the objective clear to them that this is what they need to know before class comes on. And then prepare pre-class materials. create or select engaging materials. So that's the responsibility of a teacher. You make sure you get a video which is depicting what you want to teach. You get a reading material which will when students read, will let them know that this is what you want to teach today. This is what you want to impact into them. Okay. And then share the pre-class material with them. Then after that, you can use sharing the pre-class material with them. You can use online platforms like emails or student handouts, or you can distribute materials to students. You can, if you have money that much, or the school can help you, you can print it and then share it to every student to have access to it. And then there is pre-class engagement. Encourage students to take notes or complete a short activity. Okay. So whilst they are watching, you encourage them that whilst they are watching, they should take notes of this. They should write at least they should prepare a small notes for themselves. In that way, you are encouraging them to learn by themselves. Okay. When they are reading, they'll take notes and then they'll write. By the time they come to class, they have written something down. They have jotted something down that if you tell them to present on them by themselves, they can present to the class. It might not be all that you need, but they might present something very good. And then yours is to just add some finishing touches to it. And there's in-class, so the pre-class engagements and then in-class learning activity. So you use the class time for activities that applies knowledge like group discussion, hands-on experiments, case studies, problem-solving tasks. So if that's what you did, if what you gave them requires a discussion, you discuss it with the class. If there's supposed to be a group discussion, do it. If they are supposed to have a hands-on experience, if it was a practical class video that you send them and then you wanted to have a hands-on experience with them, you do that with them. And then you, the facilitator, you monitor and then you monitor it. So in class, the teacher acts as a facilitator, circulating, guiding discussion, offering constructive feedback. The feedback you are offering are constructive feedback rather than just delivering a lecture. And then you reflect and then assess at the end of the class. So it can be through quizzes, peer feedback to check if they have really understood what you try to communicate. And then continuous feedback, gather feedback from students about their pre-class and then in-class experience to refine future flipped lesson. If it's something that you wish to be doing more often, and then I'll encourage every teacher to try using such teaching strategy. Okay, you get feedbacks from students to better how you do it. What are the advantages of doing it? Advantages are it encourages active learning in class. Okay. It's also not just in class, it encourages active learning by students. Some students know that sometimes maybe when they come to class, it will be just a random calling that this person present what you read, you learned yesterday, or for what I gave you, what you learned, present it to the class. So every student doesn't want to be at loss when it comes to such a random calling. So it makes students learn actively. And then there is self-paced learning. Okay, so based on the varied learning needs of students, we have those who learn faster, those who learn slowly. So once I've been given such a material to have an interaction with, I learn according to the pace that helps me better. So if I have to watch the video or read like 5 times, I do that. But actually, if I come to the class, the teacher has just 1 period, just 2 periods. And then if your lesson plan, you are supposed to use 5 minutes to teach that, you expect to use 5 minutes, and then after the 5 minutes, you move to a next topic. Whilst if the students have achieved, you feel like after evaluating, and then you realize that if students have achieved it, then you can go over to it. But the students having that thing, the students can go on the pace that he or she likes. So you can watch it. If they don't have any understanding to it, they come to class and then you teach it. They can go back home and then watch it again or read it again, and then they will acquire whatever knowledge that they are supposed to. And then better use of teachers' expertise. Okay, it's advantageous because it shows that the teacher is proficient in the particular topic or the particular course that you are teaching. Okay. When you are looking for videos based on the particular topic you are students see teachers as they know everything. Okay. So it gives you the opportunity to look more. Okay, what you are capable of doing. This is what you are capable of doing. This is how best you can teach students. So if it's a practical lesson, you are going to look for videos on how to bake a cake, a video on how to make meat turnovers. There are lots of videos, but you, the teacher, you are the ones to select which one best students can relate to. Okay, you don't go just select a video, but you, the teacher, you know what you want to teach them. So it shows that what you can do best in it. And then it supports individuals' right teaching and learning experiences too. It promotes responsibility and then independence. Okay, students feel that they are responsible for what they are going to, for what you're giving to them. If it's a handout, one, students feel that they are entitled not to spoil it or crumple even make sure there is no damage to the handouts that you've given them. Okay, they are responsible for learning and then come to share with the class what they have learned. And then students can do independent learning, where they learn on their own. They find meanings and everything to themselves. They learn it totally on their own and then get better clarification or better understanding when it comes to class. The flipped learning increased collaboration. In this sense, students are able to work together with their colleagues. If it's a video or any form of outside classroom activity, you give them any form of online resource, any form of resource you give them to expose to them or help them, give them to interact with. If they are not finding access to it, okay, they will tend, if they are living in the same area, students will tend to go to another friend's house. Oh, this is the video that Madam sent us. I read it and then I saw this. What do you think about it? How do you learn about it? The students will try to learn from their friends, okay? Get the ideas from their friends too. Sometimes these things can be that you can share if it's a link, a particular link that you've gotten that you want them to read to watch or gain insights from, and then the students are not getting. Probably a student doesn't have a smartphone at home, and then he or she is not getting to watch it. Students can visit their friends, and then they will watch together. So it will increase collaboration among students. And then there's access to materials anytime. There's access to materials anytime. They have it. Okay, so if you say something, then they need more clarification. They can go back to the video, they can go back to the material that they have and then read more about it. As I said, it supports the diverse learning styles. What are the challenges of using the flipped classroom? It is time intensive, okay? It's time intensive as in planning and then execution. So as a teacher, it is suggested that you have a problem bank. Okay. It's just like the PBL. You have a problem bank where you've been teaching this thing for it will be like it's like you've been teaching this thing for a longer time, for a while now. So you have related problems that you have over there. It's like I know every teacher will have a question bank where at the end of the school, when it's exam time, you have at least some questions that you usually ask, and then you go to that bank and then you select some of the questions and then you present again. So you should have a bank for problems, okay? A bank for such videos, a bank for such uh, tools that or materials you want to share with students, so that you don't take time going to look for a new one to share with students. You can plan with your fellow teachers and then you can start with a mini PBL. There's a challenge of students' unfamiliarity with problem-based learning. Sometimes you can share a resource with students, and then they are not seeing how they should relate with it. There are students who learn when you teach them this is what it is. They don't learn as like, I'll read it, maybe find out reasons to for myself, and then I'll come back to the teacher. No, they want the teacher to explain it, and they go and get better understanding to it. So sometimes students will not be familiar with a problem-based learning where they have to find their own solutions to it. So you provide orientation, structure, and modeling out. You tell them how to go by it. You educate them on how they can interact with it to get the possible best solution out of it. And the group conflict or any participation. When students are working in groups, okay, there can be group conflict. It happens more often when even as we are teachers, we are in our various centers. I believe probably they'll be in West School or UCC or Zen. There will be some conflict, some small conflict in the class. Maybe you had a practical class and then someone did something for you, so you don't want to be in a group with that person again. There might be conflict, those small ones in it. So you assign rotating roles. Okay, if for this term this student is the leader, the next one you get a student to be a leader. So they shift roles. Okay, someone is the leader, someone is taking writing, jotting down points for every discussion. You assign roles to them so that everyone will at least take part in it. And then there's assessment complexity. How will you assess it? Because there are various factors that will influence how a student watch the video or how a student interacted with what you send to them. Okay, so you can use a detailed rubrics. Rubrics are just how you mark them. It's just like how do you turn this thing? Answer booklets, like answer sheet, not answer sheet. Guide, please unmute yourself. If you are marking scheme, okay, thank you. Mark it. Remember, it's just like a marking scheme. Okay, so you get yourself a marking scheme which will be able to cover every student based on how they involve themselves around it. And then there's limited access to resources. It happens in flip learning, in PBL, there's limited access to resources. You can let students go and research for themselves. But in the secondary school, where are they going to get the phone to watch videos, to read about it? Okay, so you can use the community-based problem and local data. If they have an ICT room, you can let students use it. If there's the resources in the community where students can use it, you can go and ask them so that the students will use it, and then will make learning effective. So what are some of the tools that can be used to enhance teaching? These are just some apps, okay? So content creation and sharing videos. We have apps like video recording and editing. So we have Screencast-O-Matic. It's an app, okay, which will help you record and then edit So if you want to do it yourself, you want to make a video for yourself and then share it with the students, you can use that. We have Camtasia, Loom. They have presentation tools like Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Slides. We have YouTube, and then you can use quizzes. All these things, quizzes, that pool Kahoot, quizzes Socrates. These are all apps that you can use to share information with students. So let's go back to this is what I skipped. Application of the learner-centered theories in home economics. Okay, this will be a discussion. So how would we apply a learner-centered information in teaching home economics? So let me go back to the class. If you want to raise your hand, you raise it. If you want to unmute us, but okay, let's raise our hand right now, and then you tell me how you can. You get a topic, okay? Tell me this topic, and this is how I can use a learner-centered approach to make learning effective in the class. Miss Asamoah, I don't know if it's your surname or your first name, please.
Yeah, no problem, ma.
All right.
Ma, I will introduce it in BDT or Creative Arts. Under Creative Arts, we have a topic called identification of problem. So you give the problem out to the student or to the learners. Then they will write their own brief, how they want to solve the problem. Then after that, they also draw some possible solutions, some items to solve a particular problem. So, madam, I will like it in this way, student learning approach. This is how I will use it in a class.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam, now trying short here, man.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then let's have another person. Mr. Asamoah, thank you. So who else? Sir Michael, you muted yourself, so talk.
Oh,
How
no,
would
no,
you?
no.
How would you?
I just chipped in something. Yeah, I have
I know
nothing.
you
I've
chipped
just
in
listened.
something. You heard what I said. So tell us,
So,
how will you? You can just take a topic and then tell me this is how I'll go by it using either flip
no, I
learning or
just joined. I joined 9:46. I'm just listening. I joined 9:46. You're 46.
Hey.
Yeah, you're 46 that you are selling your book. That is what I joined.
Hey.
So I'm just
Let's
listening.
okay, mute yourself and then let's continue our class. Thank you for your
Okay,
contribution.
thank you for your understanding.
Please another person. Can just put your hand up and then hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi, madam.
Madam Gibbs, do you want to tell us something?
Hello, madam.
Hello, Miss Pa.
Please, I also relate it in science, teaching science, like part of plant. You can ask the kids to go and take or unplug a plant, a whole plant. But that one,
Okay.
they can just come out, then all of them will be around. Some of them will be able to identify this is the leaf, this is the branch, and this is the root.
So madam, in this way, which one are you using? Are you using the flip or you are using the problem-based learning?
Child-centered.
Please, what do you say?
Child-centered approach.
Self-centered. Yeah, the learner-centered approach. And then I'm talking about the two ways that we talked about. You have the flip and the PBL.
Oh, okay. Then I will use the flip.
Use the flip. So in this way, you will tell learners to go for get a tree or a plant.
Yes. One plant.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then how would you go by it?
Yes, and They will all be around it. And I know and I believe maybe, they will be able to come out with the leaves, the root, the stem, and all of the parts. So at the end, they will be able to identify that this is the part of a, this is the stem, this is the root, and then the others.
All right. So, Elisa, let me tip in something. Okay. So,
Okay.
this time, if they're using the flip, that means learning will take outside the class. So, while they're going home, we can tell them that this is what we learn tomorrow. So, when you go home, get a plant, okay, and then look at the roots, look at the stem, look at the leaves, observe it, okay. When you observe it, you can read it. Maybe they have a time, you tell them to read about it. What the plant, the leaves does to the plant, what the root does to the plant, what the stem does to the plant, and then tomorrow when they come to the class, they will have knowledge on it, and then you build on it. Hello, Madam Mispa. Hello, Madam Mispa.
Yes, madam.
Please, are you okay with it?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you,
let me
madam.
have a last. Please, Madam Mispa, please wait until you.
West School.
West School. I got one from West School, and then the first person that spoke was, is it Mr. Ampofo or Mr. Samoa? If you are still here, please, which center are you? Please, do you know him? Okay, so I've gotten one from West School. Let me get one from UCC. Madam Gifty, will you represent your people?
Yes, madam. Madam, a subject like creative art, I will use
Okay,
the flip.
so let's move on to home economics for now. Okay.
Yes.
So shift it to home economics.
Okay. A subject like sewing, when we are doing
Okay.
stitches.
Okay.
When we are doing stitches, I will let I will tell the learners to go to a seamstress place or a tailoring shop and observe them when they are sewing. And now, they should take note of how they are doing the sewing as well. So when they come back to class, then I ask them how they are doing, and we use that to learn types of stitches. Maybe the overlocking, the knitting side, the stitches, the
All
casting,
right.
and the then
All
we
right.
use that one to mean out.
Okay. So you can even tell them that when they go home, from the addresses that they have, they can be looking at the kind of stitches that they have in their addresses. Okay. So they'll be looking at the kind of stitches that they should observe it, how they are made. They should look at the differences. Okay. And then when they come to class, you can have interaction with that. So you've had UCC, and then let me go to Zenith. 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 Hello. I don't know the students in Zenith. It's just the course rep that I know, and then I think she's not around. She said her network is having issues, so she's not around. Hello.
Hello,
Okay,
madam.
then yes, madam.
Madam, please,
Please, can I know
I
who
will,
is speaking now?
yeah, I'm Stella from
Okay,
West
Madam
School.
Stella. Oh, sure, you can continue, Madam Stella.
Okay. Please, when you are teaching cake, how to bake cake or how to make cake
Okay.
by using the flake method, you can ask the learners to go home and watch maybe on a YouTube how the cake is being done. So when they come to class, you ask them the ingredients they use, the time the baker used to bake the cake. That's what I will use using the flip method. So the ingredients, the time, and the how the cake was being mixed and the rest. Thank you, madam.
All right, thank you. So with the students will have varied responses because they all had interaction with different videos. So you have numerous ways that things are done, and that's very effective too. Okay,
Yes, madam.
so thank you very much. So I've shared the
You're
slides.
welcome.
Sorry, I've shared the slides with your course reps. Okay, they will share it with you. There are videos in the slides, and then you can watch them. So if you watch those videos and then you have any question, you have anything to add up to, or you want any more clarification, you can call me. Okay, and then I'll speak to it. So this is where we'll end our class. And then if you have any question for me, let me say this before we end the class. There's an assignment at the end of the class. Okay. It's design a mini lesson. Please let's check our backgrounds. I'm getting the feedback. Okay, thank you very much. So you design a mini lesson or a classroom activity in a home economics topic. Okay. One, it should integrate experiential learning or activity-based learning. So we have experiential learning and we have activity-based learning. And then you should also apply PBL or flip learning. So either way, so you are designing just one. So if you are choosing experiential learning, you choose experiential learning, and then it comes to the next one, you choose either PBL or flip learning, and then you relate it to how you teach such a topic. Okay. So this how I'll next week we'll discuss the assignment. So this how I'll group it. It's two, so I'll expect two from each sentence. So Westco, I'll have two groups from Westco. UCC, I'll have two groups from UCC. Zenith, I'll have two groups from Zenith. So the various course reps, please give me your number. Okay, I just want the number of students in the class, and then I'll divide it so that you will have you can choose, you can even interact with the class, that if I'm choosing, one is choosing experiential learning, the others should choose activity-based learning. And then next week, we'll use the first 30 minutes or close to 45 minutes to discuss this assignment before we move on to what we have the following week. And then issues on the slides, I will send them to you as soon as I get them, I promise. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Okay.
Madam,
Yes.
please, I don't understand what you just said though, with the assignments. Are you going to group us or what? I don't get it. Please, can you explain again?
So I said, okay, the assignment is you have to design a mini classroom activity. Okay, just a small one. It can be just a one page, like as you described right now. Okay, it should be something
Okay.
small. And then you are going to integrate experiential learning, or you are going to use activity-based learning. So these theories that we've learned, how will you use that theory? Okay, how will it influence your teaching processes? And then you go to the pedagogical styles too. So I said I will group. Last year I tried something like that. I told them to group themselves, and then it became more. So this time I'll group you. So each center will have two groups: Zenith to UCT to Westco 2. And then when it's presentation, just one person from the group will represent for the group.
Okay.
So I'll get the number of students from each class, each center, and then I will divide it into two. And then your group, your course rest will tell you which group you belong to. So you can say maybe the first 20 people group one is the last 20 group two, based on the number you have in the class. And then next week you present it. So we have a discussion, then you move on to the next class.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But madam, can you kindly put the question on the page for us, or send it to our course rep so that
It's
they
part of
can?
the slides. I've sent the slides to
Oh,
every
okay.
course rep has the slides.
All right.
Every course rep has
Thank
it.
you.
So it's the last slide.
All right.
So the last slides, when you see it, if you don't see it, you can draw my attention and I'll show it to you where it is. Okay.
Okay.
Madam,
Thank you very much.
I just saw it on your screen. Can you project it again so that maybe we can screenshot right now, please?
Okay, if you want to do that, let me do it. But it's still on your slide, so let me.
Yeah, it's here. Okay.
Okay, take a screenshot.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Okay,
Grade 1 day. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, so this is where we end our class.
Hello, madam.
Yes, I'm listening.
Please, thank you for sharing the slides. God bless you so much.
Amen.
Please, you
God bless
said
you
that
too.
we are to watch some videos. So I would like to know if we have the link to the site in our
So
slides.
those videos are part of the slides.
Okay.
Let me share my slides with you and look at something. Please,
Meaning that
can you
if
turn
you
off the
print it
background for
out,
me?
we can't watch.
So
Uh-huh.
this is. I'm getting a feedback. Please mute the background.
Okay.
So when you get it, okay, it's in a PDF form. When you print it, you can't watch it, but it's in a PDF form. So you can watch it in the or you want me to give you the videos directing? Hello.
Hello, madam.
You want me to give you the videos differently?
If you can share the link to the videos, we'll be
Oh,
grateful
I
as
have
well.
downloaded them to you.
Okay.
I'll send them
Thank
to you.
you.
I can share the links too.
All right.
All right. That'll be fine. Okay. So thank you, and then have a nice day. And to the men in the group too, happy Father's Day to everyone. Okay. Happy Father's Day to everyone. So we meet next week, God willing. Thursday and then Friday, Sunday, God willing. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you very
Enjoy
much,
yours
madam.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye. Crossrest, please share the slides for us now, okay? Thank you.